Okay, let's just unpack this for a minute. What if the next coworker you really trust, or, the next helter in your home, isn't human at all? And I'm not talking about some far-off science fiction movie. This is a scenario that's, well, it's becoming reality pretty fast.
It really is.
So today we are diving deep into the world of physical AI.
And this is such a huge immediate shift because it moves the whole AI conversation out of the digital cloud and into our actual physical lives.
Right.
When we say physical AI, we're specifically talking about artificial intelligence that's embedded in a physical machine. I mean, we're talking about robots that can see, hear, move, and this is the most important part, fully interact with the real world, the messy world.
So it's not like the chatbots we're all used to, the things that just sort of think. Physical AI is defined by its ability to actually do things.
Exactly. They don't just process data, they act. They navigate our homes, our workplaces, hospitals, factories, you name it.
And that ability for general autonomous action in a physical space, that's the real game changer.
Yeah. It is. And it forces us to ask this really personal question, which our sources pose so clearly. Are these machines going to become our friends, our companions? Or are they just going to stay very, very smart tools?
And that's the mission for this deep dive. We're moving beyond the technical specs to focus right on the human, the ethical, and frankly, the emotional side of living alongside these intelligences.
Yeah.
So let's start with the urgency. I mean, why is this all happening right now? For so many of us, I think advanced robotics has always felt like it's perpetually 5, maybe 10 years away.
It's always on the horizon.
Always. But the sources we're looking at are really clear. This isn't a future problem. This is a now problem.
And what's so fascinating here is that it's not just one single breakthrough. It's more like a triple collision of factors that's pushing physical AI out of the research lab and into actual production.
A triple collision. Okay, lay that out for us. What are the 3 factors?
Okay, so first, you've got these exponentially more powerful AI models. I mean, huge advances in machine learning, computer vision, and of course the large language models, the LLMs that we talk about all the time.
Right.
The AI brain is finally smart enough to handle the sheer chaos and unpredictability of the real world.
But how does an LLM help a robot, walk around a factory? It's not just about talking.
That's the core insight, really. The LLM lets the robot bridge that critical gap between human language, vague commands like, hey, tidy up this area, and actual physical actions. It gives them the power to generalize, to understand context, which is something they could never do before. They can adapt their movements in real time.
So they don't need to be told exactly how to pick up every single different can of soup. They can kind of figure it out.
Precisely. So that's one. Second, the hardware, the robot's body is finally catching up, and it's getting a lot cheaper.
The muscles.
The muscles, exactly.
Yeah.
The actuators, the sensors, the things that allow for smooth, human-like motion. The cost for all those components is just collapsing.
Okay. And the third piece, and this is crucial, is just the massive sustained investment from all the big tech giants. They're pouring billions into this, which signals they're serious about scaling it and scaling it fast.
So you combine those 3 things, and the acceleration feels, well, inevitable. But there's also a real-world pressure pushing this too, isn't there? It's not just the tech.
Absolutely. The technology is meeting this huge demographic and economic need. We're facing, unprecedented global labor shortages.
In logistics, manufacturing.
And especially in care. Pair that with rapidly aging populations in so many countries, and suddenly physical AI goes from being a cool gadget to a genuine necessity. Industries are almost being forced to adopt it just to maintain basic services.
Well, so the foundation is there, the demand is there. Let's look at the optimistic view for a second, because the upside here, the potential, it's really transformative.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the human impact is just so immediate and exciting. I mean, think about elder care.
A robot that can remember a complex medication schedule, gently help someone out of bed, safely lift them if they fall, or even just offer reliable, round-the-clock monitoring for someone who might otherwise be totally isolated.
And what about the boost of personal autonomy for people with disabilities? A robot that could manage all the household logistics, cooking, cleaning. No. It could enable a level of independence that was never possible before.
It promises a real, tangible improvement in quality of life. And then in the workplace, the benefits shift more towards safety and human potential.
How so?
Well, physical AI can take on all the repetitive, dangerous, and just exhausting tasks. Heavy lifting in a warehouse, working with hazardous chemicals.
Stuff nobody wants to do.
The stuff that causes injuries, exactly. It cuts down on that, removes the drudgery, and it frees up the human workers to focus on what we're actually good at,
Creativity, complex problem solving.
Nuanced decision-making, yeah. We automate the monotonous stuff to elevate the uniquely human side of work. It's a very compelling vision.
It is. So just before we move on, I want you, the listener, to pause and just imagine this for a second. If a humanoid robot could genuinely offer that level of help, what is the one single task in your home or at your job that you would instantly give to it?
That really is the core question, isn't it? And it perfectly sets up the sticky part of this whole conversation.
Right.
Because it's not all about efficiency and safety metrics. Physical AI introduces these incredibly complex human problems that we've just never had to deal with before.
Let's zero in on that emotional side first. The sources call it the companionship controversy. The tech is getting good enough to build machines that could be companions, not just tools. We already see people forming really deep bonds with virtual AI. But what happens when that AI gets a body? When it can look you in the eye?
The power of physical embodiment is it's huge. A robot that's physically present, that moves with you, that can gesture, it triggers these very deep social and emotional responses in our brains.
So on one hand, yeah, robot companionship could genuinely help with the epidemic of loneliness we're seeing.
It could. But then you have to ask the critical question of authenticity. What kind of relationship is this, really?
Is it real?
Exactly. If the robot is just programmed to simulate care and affection, does that create a real connection? Or does it risk creating an emotional dependency that just papers over the real need for human-to-human interaction?
That's a really profound concern.
Yeah.
Are we just replacing the hard work of real relationships with programmed perfection?
The risk is that we trade the beautiful, messy complexity of human intimacy for something that's just guaranteed and consistent, programmed comfort.
And that leads right into what you called a regulatory nightmare earlier, the accountability crisis.
Yes.
If a human caregiver makes a mistake, the line of responsibility is usually pretty clear. But when an autonomous robot, one that's capable of learning and making its own decisions, messes up, who is accountable? Who's at fault?
That's the problem. There's no easy answer. I mean, if a robot in a warehouse ignores a human safety command because its own learning model decided another route was 2% more efficient, is it the original programmer? The manufacturer? The company that deployed it? The complexity just explodes once the machine starts acting on its own learned knowledge. It's not just a tool breaking anymore.
It's a partner making an autonomous choice that caused harm. We have to figure out those legal lines before these things are everywhere.
And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room whenever we talk about putting smart machines in our homes.
Privacy.
Privacy and trust. We're talking about robots with advanced cameras, microphones, sensors, constantly mapping our most personal spaces in 3D.
Observing our most private moments.
Exactly. The level of trust required to let a device like that into the home where you live and raise your children it's immense. We're not just giving up abstract data, we're potentially giving up our right to an unobserved life inside our own homes.
And that brings us to the last, maybe deepest concern, the human cost. We've mentioned job displacement, which is a real fear, but our sources point to something deeper, a sort of empathy laundering.
That's a great way to put it. The question is, if robots handle all the caring tasks, looking after the elderly, helping in hospitals, managing our lives, will we as humans slowly stop caring for each other?
You mean we'll outsource empathy?
We risk automating away the very experiences that force us to develop empathy. If we hand off the emotionally difficult work of caring for a sick relative, we lose something vital. If the robot takes the task of caregiving, what happens to the human value of caring? That's the erosion we have to watch out for.
And we have to remember, this isn't some theoretical future threat. Let's ground this in some real-world examples because this tech is already here.
Yeah, if you look at manufacturing and logistics, the speed of adoption is just incredible. I mean, you have Tesla developing Optimus, their humanoid robot, specifically for general factory work.
The kinds of jobs that need human-like dexterity.
Right. And they're not alone. You've got Figure AI, Agility Robotics. They're all building these general-purpose humanoid robots for warehouses and factories. They're designed to be flexible, to handle the kind of unpredictable environments that used to require a human brain.
And it's not just industry. We're seeing them in public-facing roles now.
Oh, absolutely. In healthcare, you have robotic assistants helping surgeons in the operating room, giving them incredible precision. You have them supporting patient care in hospitals, delivering medications, monitoring vital signs.
And for you, the listener, you've probably already seen service robots out in the world. In hotels, airports, restaurants.
Yeah.
They're becoming more and more common.
What really stands out to me is how all of these examples just circle right back to our initial definition. Physical AI isn't coming anymore, it's here. It's an established operational reality that's already part of our critical infrastructure.
So we come back to that big question. Will these amazing, complicated machines ever become our friends? Our sources really synthesize this tension perfectly. The promise of efficiency, safety, profound care. It's enormous. But so are the questions about authenticity, accountability, and the risk to our own humanity.
And the answer really seems to depend less on how smart the technology gets and more on how we choose to handle it, how we design it, how we regulate it, and how we choose to relate to it emotionally. It requires us to have clear ethical boundaries from the very start.
So think about your own relationship to this new reality. Do you see these robots mainly as helpers, as tools to reduce drudgery, or do you see the potential for real companionship? Or do you see them primarily as a risk to your privacy and our human connections?
The ultimate message, I think, from all this is that the future of physical AI is a human choice. It is not a technical inevitability. We decide the rules of this new game.
And that leaves us with one final provocative thought for you to chew on long after this is over. Robots may become exponentially smarter than us. They may learn faster, operate more efficiently, but whether they actually become our friends, that depends entirely on us, on the empathy we choose to build into them and the trust we decide we can afford to give.